provided that. Lord Neuberger says this, that so far as the High Court is concerned, puisne judges are not technically bound by the decisions of their peers, but they should generally follow a decision of a court of coordinate jurisdiction unless there is a powerful reason for not doing so. That creates an honest presiding Mugambi, that the other side making those determinations for you to depart from the same. Elisha Ngoya, full picture of how odd that will be. We have also provided the case from the Supreme Court of the Parliamentary Service Commission versus Martin Nyaga Wambora. Court there examined decision-making and vacation of the same in the context of a collegiate court. The test has been given there by the Supreme Court. And what the Supreme Court says is that if this court might be tempted to reverse what has been made in terms of decision by a collegiate court, then the error has to be substantial. It has to be demonstrated. It does not simply amount to a question of mere allegation. It has to be shown demonstrably to the satisfaction of this court. I want to move quickly to the question of political question doctrine. My good friend, my brother, Mr. Gumbo, has spent a lot of ink, black and white, submitting on this. And he submitted to this court the authority of to him and those on that side who submit in that line of thinking, we say this, that the political question is an American constitutional emanation. It is a function of separation unique to the American constitutional context. That's number one. In the context of the Republic of Kenya, that morphed to mean justiciability. And in our context, it has yielded to notions such as ripeness, mootness. And this was done by no other than His Eminent Grace, the Lord Justice Mrema, in the case of Anthony Miano and others, was the Attorney General 2020 EKLR. Thirdly, the political question focuses on limitation by courts, on the court restraining itself from dealing with matters within the responsibility of the political arms of government. Now, in terms of the US context, and I have said that Mr. Gumbo has submitted on this case and we wish to respond to him. This is what they did not tell you in terms of Baker versus Carr. Baker versus Carr in 1962 lays down 6 factors that can be used in identifying what a political question is. So the political question within the American context is not a general rule of application. It is applicable, yes, but within certain parameters. And the context in which that political doctrine question principle can be used is where, number one, there is lack of a judicially discoverable and manageable standards for resolving the dispute. In other words, the judiciary does not have the wherewithal to deal with that question. Number two, the impossibility of deciding the dispute without being to the detriment of a political policy determination that has been made. Number three, the impossibility of the court undertaking such independent resolution without expressing a lack of respect to government, the political branches. Number 4, the unusual need for unquestioning adherence to a political decision already made. Number 5, the potential embarrassment and textually demonstrable commitment to the issue of a coordinated political department. Those are the 6 circumstances according to Baker versus Carr. So the question, Your Lordship, Presiding Judge, what will be the usefulness of this doctrine in Kenya? The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, David D. and others, the Constitution of Kenya has an internal theory. As Elisha Ngoya articulated, and as was articulated in BBI, the Constitution is a transformative Constitution, such that our tenor, our tone in terms of Constitution is radically different from the American. From the text of our Constitution, this is what the Court of Appeal in the BBI decision said at paragraph 139 and at paragraph 144. At paragraph 139, the Court of Appeal said that the Superior Court, being this court, by virtue of Article 22.1, 23.1, and 258.1 of the Constitution, had jurisdiction to complete and incomplete breaches of the Constitution. Your Ladyship, Your Lordships, the substratum in the BBI case was a bill that was stopped in its track before signature. That is important in terms of this context. At paragraph 144, this is what the Court of Appeal says, that when matters involve a threat to breach constitutional rights, justiciability requirements are satisfied and hence the court is allotted. The court is seized with jurisdiction when a breach of the Constitution. Constitutional texts, plain reading. Article 4.1 read with Article 4.2 together with Article 1 provide an interface between law and politics. I repeat, 4.1, 4.2 as read with Article 1 provide an interface between law and politics. The requisite of power ultima, sovereignty in the people, and the requirement by the Constitution that government and governance must be in accordance with the Constitution, Article 2.1, our supremacy clause, ensures that politics are subordinated to the rule of law and constitutionalism. Article 3, the preservation clause. Everybody is enjoined to defend the Constitution. And that provision has normative significance in establishing a legal and moral commitment to uphold and protect, defend the Constitution. Article 3.2, an attempt to establish government, including appointments, otherwise than in conformity with the Constitution, is unlawful and unconstitutional. Article 2, sub-article 2, no person may claim or exercise state authority except as provided under the Constitution. In conclusion, Your Lordships, Your Ladyship, in an old story, and it's probably even true, when the authors of the American Constitution declared after months of work in Philadelphia that they finally reached consensus, a lady by the name Mrs. Powell shouted a question to the revered Benjamin Franklin, an American statesman, who was then 81 years old. And this is what Mrs. Powell told Benjamin Franklin. Dr. Franklin, what have you given to us? A monarchy or a republic? And this is what Your Lordship, Your Ladyship, Dr. Franklin answered the lady. A republic, if you can keep it. The judiciary must stand as the unyielding guardian of the Constitution the pillars of justice and democracy begin to crumble. I submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Bananjeru.
Yes, my lady, my lords.
How are you?
I'm well, my lords.
You have 10 minutes.
My lord, I'll try to do the best within the time allocated.
All right.
My lord, my lady, my lords, permit me to join issues with the earlier submissions made by my learned friends. And permit me, my ladies, my lords, to submit that my submissions will majorly...
Issues is on the same side. Join issues. We haven't submitted.
What problem do you have with that, Professor Gender?
My lord, join issues means he's on the opposing side, but he's supporting the applications as framed. So I don't know whether it is simply a question of not knowing that we haven't spoken, perhaps. He's running low on sugar.
My lord, the presiding judge, you made an important point that we are Africans.
I think let Njiru proceed.
And he will have his time to speak the right English when his time comes. My ladies, my lords, my submissions will deal with the aspects of public interest in respect to the reason why the court must sustain the conservatory orders as granted by his Justice Mongo and Justice Mwita. Your Lordship, permit me to begin by drawing your attention to the dictates of Article 3, which requires every person to uphold and protect the Constitution from being violated. My lady, my lords, the Constitution that we are here to protect this afternoon is a document that is progressive in nature and that seeks to protect individuals who either serves in government or out government in whatsoever organ. My lords, in my address, I'll majorly deal with the question of the purported nomination of Professor Kithure Kindiki and whether the lifting of the conservatory orders will culminate into his swearing in and what that means in respect to the provisions of the Constitution. My ladies, my lord, it is clear that a purported process took place in Parliament that culminated into a name being forwarded to Parliament for voting.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mimi kwa majina naitwa Hussein Abduba. Hussein Abduba, former chairman ya County Council of Isiolo.
And whether or not that
kwa majina naitwa Hassan Shano
with the dictates of the Constitution. My ladies, my lords, on the 18th of October, we walked towards what friend Mr. Ongoya submitted on a memorandum by the President. The said memorandum, my ladies, my lords, that the President from the independent and the answer was sufficient enough to afford him the courage to forward the name for voting in Parliament. Begs and is, did the IBC possess the requisite constitutional capacity to submit or approve the said name for purposes of voting in Parliament? My ladies, my lords, the answer to that will be found in Article 88, as read together with Article 99 and Article 137 of the Constitution. Article 88, my ladies, my lords, creates the Electoral and Boundary Commission. And in the same article, my ladies, my lords, creates the functions of the said commission. You'll also find the
former
same
MC
answer, my ladies, my
County
lords, in the amended IBC Act. Most importantly, Section 10 and Section 11, which I'll be dealing with in the near future. My ladies, my lords, Article 99, as read together with Article 137, provides the qualifications for an individual to hold the office of the president, and by extension, the office of the president. It is important to note, my ladies, my lords, that in the event anything happens and the current president is incapable of office of the president, the purported name, if sworn in, will be the person to take over. Requisite qualifications, and that these qualifications are met. My ladies, my lords, that the constitutional organ judicial notice, my ladies, my lord, that the commission as currently constituted falls lack of the commissioners. And the question therefore, my ladies, my lords, in the event to evaluate the qualifications under Article 99 and Article 139, can be submitted in Parliament for voting. Who then is capable of doing that in the absence of the commissioners? My ladies, my lords, we submit that IBC as currently constituted can only execute administrative functions and it has no capacity or ability to execute the function under Article 99 as read together with Article 137 of the Constitution. My ladies, my lords, the Constitution as read together with the IBC Act has created distinct functions that for the commissioners and the secretariat. And you'll find that, my ladies, my lords, in the decision, consolidated petition number 305, which was between Engineer Mwaura Kamau, Charity Kalukingilu versus EACC. A 3-page judge, my ladies, my lords, had that to consider whether the secretariat, in the absence of the commissioners, can take the functions designated and exclusively allocated to the commissioners. My ladies, my lords, at paragraph 347, this is what the court had to say. From the foregoing provisions, it is clear to us beyond that the membership of the Constitutional Commission is
lengo na madhumuni ya barabara ya lami kuelekea.
In other words, the composition of the Constitutional Commission ought not be less than 3 and not more than 9. The court goes on to say
kuna dhulma inaendelea katika Kenya.
Secretariat, and in this case, the CEO,
good morning. I'm Jilo Buka Said.
The IBC, would then be seen to execute the functions of the commission. That means that the commission would go beyond the constitutional dictated number. The court said that paragraph 348, the said members, otherwise known as the commissioners, are empowered to appoint the commission's chief executive, known as the secretary. To contend that the secretary, who is an appointee
yao na watu wa county na sisi hatukuwa ndani,
that the commission would, where commissioners are 9, be composed of membership of 10. The court said
sisi tunataka sisi tulipe ardhi ambayo inajenga structure juu, ilipe structure, ilipe biashara ile ambayo imeharibika, alafu muda ambayo imekaa pia tunataka tulipe. Muda ile ambayo imekaa 5 years bila kufanyia kazi, hivi tunadai hata hiyo kwamba atulipwe pamoja na ardhi.
The court further said at paragraph 353,
rate yetu ni kidogo lingane ya madogashe juu, madogashe nuno road ni high na hapa ni kidogo, au kwa hata dash inalipwa hapa, hata dash
is what the court said relied in the case of petition number 46 of 201.
Yao na watu wa county na sisi hatukuwa ndani kwa njia mfupi.
It is clear to us that under the constitution and under the legislations, The
project
foundation
officer,
of the
Northern
power of a
Vision
secretariat is
and a
the
human rights
existence of the
defender.
commission.
We are here
The
to...
secretary and the secretariat can only carry out
Good
the
morning.
powers
I'm
vested
Jilo Buka Said.
in their offices when the commission is in place, exercising its powers since they implement what the commission has approved or resolved. Again, I urge the court to look at paragraph 356 and also 358. But most importantly, your Lord, my ladies, my lord, is what the court is saying at paragraph 362. This is what the court had to say. We therefore also agree with the petitioners that any decisions purportedly transmitted to the DPP recommending the prosecution of the petitioners without the sanction of the commission would not be in compliance with the law and the constitution.